Hi, and welcome to another episode of City Views with Jed and John. I'm Jed Lewin.
I'm John Antretter.
And today we are absolutely thrilled to welcome our very first guest to the podcast, and not just any guest. We're popping our cherry today with a man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. He's arguably the most famous real estate agent in the world, co-founder and CEO of the agency, host of the and star of the hit Netflix series Buying Beverly Hills, Bravo celebrity, Real Househusband, an absolute party animal, Mauricio Umansky.
How you guys doing? This is fun. I'm excited to be, the cherry to get popped. Let's go.
That's right. We are so happy to have you here. And Mo, as a longtime listener and one of our biggest fans, you know that we start every show with a quick toast and a discussion of what we're drinking today. So, John, why don't you just tell us what we're drinking?
Yeah, so we have Buffalo Trace today. It's one of my favorite bourbons. I discovered it, I remember, a summer right after college, and it's stayed one of my true favorites.
I love the bottle, man. It's got, a super strong buffalo on it, and it looks badass, and I can't wait to taste this. This looks exciting.
Yeah. So, Mo, you're kind of famous for your toast. You do it whenever we see you having a drink. We'd love if you lead us in the toast.
It's an easy toast. It's a lot of fun, and it goes something like this. Ready? You got to follow me. Arriba.
Arriba.
Abajo.
Abajo.
Al centro.
Al centro.
Pa dentro.
Pa dentro. There we go. And we're off and running.
That is some good bourbon. And I don't know if people know this, but I am a bourbon fan and a whiskey fan, and this Kentucky straight bourbon is pretty darn good. So I'm glad that they sponsored you. I might have to steal this bottle.
Well, we'll talk about that
parting
sponsorship
gift.
next. Buffalo Trace, the choice of successful brokers all over for 9 a.m. toasts. So, Mo, let's
Yes,
get
sir.
into it.
Let's do it.
Can you share with us and our listeners your journey into real estate and how you ended up co-founding the agency?
Oh man, my journey into real estate's kind of happened, a lot because of my wife. I've always loved design. I've always loved architecture, so I've always had that passion. But the other thing I've always loved was selling and sales. Like the art of the sale gets me excited. So, I used to sell clothing, textiles first, and then clothing.
The schmata business.
The schmata business, like a good Mexican Jew. We all are. Not all of us are Mexican Jews, but I am.
Some of us are German Jews.
There you go.
But we were in the schmata business too.
You were also the schmata business?
yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, my mom's side.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so you used to haul around, those big trunks and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's not easy. So I used to sell that. I started a clothing line called 90265. It was a pretty successful line. And then the shit hit the fan. I lost everything. I went bankrupt, declared bankruptcy, sold the company. And then I went to go work for another company that kind of, interesting, story, one of the largest clothing companies in Los Angeles and in the country. And what they wanted me to do is they wanted me to copy the line that I had just gone bankrupt with. So they're like, yeah, just do it again. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it again. But they didn't let me buy, and since you're in the schmata business, they didn't let me buy knits. My line was all a knit line, and they only had credit to buy wovens. And I'm like, well, I can't copy my line if, with a different fabric. Like that just doesn't work. But I tried. It didn't work. And then I got fired right before Christmas as the year was closing. And I was young. I was 25 years old and maybe 26. I don't remember exactly. I had 2 kids and I didn't have any money. I was totally down and out. I was scared shitless. I drove around all over the place, scared shitless. And by the way, you can read all about this in, in my book, The Deal Maker, that, just came out if you're interested. And then from there, I went home. My wife just saw me. She knew that what had happened, and then we talked about it. And she said, you've always wanted to get into real estate. This might be the opportunity for you to change, career paths and what you've been doing. And I said, you know what, that's a good idea. And then she said to me, you know what, I'm going to do it with you, and we'll make it our date night, and we're going to go get our licenses, and we're going to go, do this thing. So we did. We made it our date night, and it was a ton of fun. And we got our real estate licenses, and then I went to go work for her brother-in-law, Rick Hilton, at Hilton and Highland. And, I always started at the top. I said to myself, if I'm going to sell real estate, I'm going to sell expensive luxury real estate. I never said I'm going to work my way up. I said I'm going to work my way down. And I just thought that was going to be an interesting, way of, doing it. By the way, John, just so you know, as a side note, the reason I face Jed more is because I'm blind out of my right eye and I can't see you. So it's a lot easier for me to see Jed over here on my left-hand side.
No insult. I get it.
So that's kind of how I got started. And then from there, I made myself a promise that I would never. That first of all, what I started with is selling high-end real estate. I got a couple of deals done, and then I realized that all I needed to do was sell one deal a month, and so that was my first goal. So to have 12 deals a year, and then once I got to 12 deals a year, then I said, okay, I can pay my expenses with 12 deals a year, and anything above that I can save and actually start, creating some wealth. So then I was like, can I do 18 deals? Can I do 20 deals? Like, what can I do? But my goal was always to have one deal a month, and I knew that with one deal a month, no matter what size it was, I could pay my expenses, right? And so then that's how I started. Then I made myself another promise, which was that I would never have a worse year, a lesser year of revenue and income than the past year. And I kept that promise for 24 years, 22 years until I started the agency. And I always had that better year and better year and better year, and I never failed at that. Eventually, I got to a point in 2007 where I, had a pretty good year. I decided to submit my numbers to Real Trends, Wall Street Journal. I submitted my numbers. Just curious. I didn't know what number I was going to be. I thought I was probably going to, maybe not even make the list. And much to my surprise, they came back and they said I was number 7 in the country, and I was number 1 in California that year. And I was
that's
like,
not
holy
bad.
shit. Okay, that's
Pretty
cool.
solid numbers.
That's not bad.
So yeah, that's how it all got started. And then obviously I started the agency, not obviously, but then in 2011, Billy Rose and I decided to start, the agency. We were frustrated with the model of what was going on in the real estate brokerage world. We were very frustrated with the. We thought everything was a bit archaic.
Just coming out of the housing crisis.
Coming out of the housing crisis, exactly.
Big recession.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. And we just thought we could change. Primarily we took the approach of changing the way people market real estate. And so we started to do a lot of event marketing, and we started to do a lot of lifestyle marketing and videos and all of that stuff. And we were kind of the guys that, that began that entire, trend of what you see today in terms of like the super, open house, with the parties, the lifestyle, the marketing, the music, all of that, fun stuff.
Amazing.
Here we are.
Amazing.
All while maintaining the rule number 1, no assholes.
Well, that's critical, right, John? I mean, otherwise, it all
I'm a
ends.
huge proponent of that. I love eliminating the assholes.
Yeah, we don't need any of those around us.
We really don't.
Yeah, I agree.
So from there, I guess the next question is, you work with so many high-profile people and clients. Any unique experiences that you could share with us?
I mean, I have so many and so much fun stuff. I mean, I've worked with people like Prince, and that was just a lot of fun. I was reminiscing just the other day and telling a story about Prince. And I remember one time when I went over to his house. Well, first of all, let me just be clear. This man was all about energy. And so, if you went to, if I was taking him out and we went to a house and he didn't feel the energy, I don't care how big the house was, how incredible the house was, whose house it was, he wouldn't step inside. And inevitably, the housewife who was waiting for Prince to step inside was always pissed. But there was nothing I could do. I gave him warnings.
You'd show up on an appointment with Prince, and he would look at the front door and say, nope.
Doesn't feel it.
Not
Doesn't
today.
feel the vibe.
Amazing.
Yeah, just does not want to see it. Sometimes we would walk in the front door, he'd get a bad energy, and he'd walk right back out no matter what. But if he got good energy, then he'd, like to see the house and go through the whole thing and et cetera, et cetera. But I can tell you, I put him in a house one time, and this is the story I was going to tell. It's a great story. Put him in a house one time, and he invited me over to his house to chill. Little did I know that I was going to go chill with him and Stevie Wonder and, another 26 people, not more than that. And, an hour into chilling, they started jamming. Downstairs, we had a basement. He had all the stuff. He had his Purple Rain motorcycles in the basement. He had the stage set up. He had the whole, the drums, the keyboard, all that kind of stuff. We went down to the basement, and they were fucking jamming, and it was so beautiful to watch. I got home. that night around 4 a.m, and my wife's like, "What the fuck were you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I was hanging out with Prince and Stevie Wonder, so sorry, man."
So yeah, that's amazing. Did you hoop? Did you play a little one-on-one? I know Prince was big into that.
It was late at night. We did not hoop. We were drinking. We were smoking. We were having a good time, but we were not hooping.
So, a guy like Prince, who's got all the money in the world, he can choose any house he wants. Like, money is not an object. He's looking for a 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom house. There's limitless options, and FOMO is, there's always something better. There's always something bigger. There's always something a little better deal. FOMO is such a key characteristic of people in New York, people in Los Angeles. How did, as a real estate agent, you're seeing the best houses in the world every day. So how do you overcome FOMO? I mean, you bought Smokey Robinson's house.
Yeah.
Out of like all of them, you could choose anything. How did you get over FOMO? How do you advise clients to get over FOMO and just choose, like, this is the house for you?
Look, it's lifestyle and it's a way of being, and again, with Prince, it was kind of easy because, again, once he felt the energy and once he felt it was good, like, that was his house, right? And so I think that it's really important for clients to just, to not, to get over the FOMO, right? Like, it's, that's just a problem in people generally, not only in real estate, but it's really just, a characteristic issue, right? It's like, you're sitting, home, you're laying in bed and you're wondering what all your friends are doing. I think Instagram and social media is one of the biggest, issues with FOMO in the world right now, right? You sit in bed and you start watching, you're like, oh, I want to be there. I'm missing out. I got this, who's that? And it's like, kind of like crazy. So I think, ideally, people just have to live, their own life and they have to live in their own moment and figure that out. But when it comes to houses, when you've got, when you found your house. I mean, you walk in, everything feels right. You feel good. You jive. You can afford it. You like the floor plan. You like the colors. You like, obviously you can change colors. It's all about floor plan at the end of the day. But when you feel it and you can, you jive, you just got to go for it. And you got, and that's your house. Like, that's your sanctuary. And that's where people are going to create, their life and their memories and all kinds of different things. So people should just not have FOMO when it comes to housing.
So I completely agree. It's just, helping people get out of their own way sometimes is the hard part when when you're working with clients.
Well, what you need to do is give them confidence that you've showed them the best stuff that's on the market in their price range.
Yeah.
That there is nothing that they're missing out on. And they need to know that, from a real estate agent's perspective, that is our job, is to make sure that our clients understand that, there is no FOMO, that there is nothing better out there, that we've shown them, the 6 best, townhomes, condos, apartments, like whatever it is that they're buying, they've seen it. That's it. Like, that's what they get to pick. They have more money, we can show them something else. But at that budget, at that thing, our job as real estate agents is to make sure that we get them the best stuff. And that's why, from a client's perspective, it's so important to pick great real estate agents and somebody that you trust, that does their homework, has the knowledge, knows the inventory, and they are actually showing you the best stuff. And if you have that confidence and you pick the right person, then you shouldn't have the FOMO.
I think that's
that makes
absolutely right.
Total sense.
Yeah.
Do you have a number where you think by X amount of properties you've already found the one?
No, I don't. I mean, I've had clients that I've gone out and looked for years and, before we found the right property. I mean, we've seen, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 homes before we found the right property. I have other clients where, we've found it, at one go. One showing, one go. I mean,
Those are my favorite.
The one and done.
I mean,
the unicorn.
Love a one and done.
My famous story on the one go is Lady Gaga. I mean, I was invited to go backstage with me and my wife after a concert in Las Vegas. She hosted us. We went backstage into her locker room. She comes in and she goes, "Mauricio, I'm a huge fan of you and real estate, and I've been watching you, and I've never really bought anything big. Here's what I'm looking for, blah, blah, blah." She told me everything that she was looking for. I literally pulled out the house that she was looking for on my phone. I showed it to her on my phone. She was like, "Oh, this looks pretty darn good." She goes, "I'm going to be in Los Angeles tomorrow. Can I see it tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yeah." She went to go see it, and that's what she bought, and she still lives in that today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Amazing. Amazing. The one and done. So Lady Gaga, from here, from New York City, grew up on the Upper East
She's
Side.
the best, man. There's just nobody with a better voice and a better soul than Lady Gaga, for sure.
But she grew up here in Manhattan. She grew up on the Upper East Side. Her parents live in the Upper East Side. They own a restaurant on the Upper East Side.
Upper West. Sorry.
Sorry, thanks.
Oh, John's correcting
No,
Jen.
hey.
That's it.
Hey, John's
That is
market
your neighborhood,
knowledge.
too, by the way.
John's market knowledge is second to none. It's incredible.
I'm an inventory person. I know it all.
That is for you. John's market knowledge is absolutely second to none. His knowledge of inventory is incredible. Restaurants, incredible. But the reason I mentioned New York City, have you ever thought about living here in New York City? And have you ever thought about what neighborhood you'd want to live in?
Yeah, I definitely have thought about it multiple times. I have not. I have no idea what neighborhood I would live in. I think there's so many great neighborhoods. I don't, know it well enough yet. I feel like I've narrowed it down for me that it would definitely be downtown.
Yeah.
I always used to think it was going to be like midtown, uptown. But I think most recently, as I've gotten to know kind of downtown area and this area, I think it would be something like that, like Tribeca.
You definitely have a downtown vibe, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tribeca for sure.
I think a nice
Soho,
Franklin Street
Tribeca.
loft would work.
You got anything good for me?
I know of something great for 5.8 million. We'll talk later.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can think of two really excellent New York City real estate agents who would be easy to work with.
I love it.
We
I
could
love
we
it.
could both rep them at the same time, Jed. We'll split it. So I always come into this one thing where I'm addicted to my phones, I should say, and my family members and friends get really irritated. I'm curious for you at this level. Are you still glued to devices, or how do you balance work and life?
It's so hard. It's one of the biggest issues, and certainly even from a family lifestyle, from a relationship perspective with your wife, with your kids, with all of that stuff. We all get glued, and everybody's addicted to the phone. I mean, up until recently, I've been super addicted. I've made in the last 2 years, 3 years really since COVID, I've made a conscious effort to get unaddicted to the damn phone. And I've been able to do that. The other day I was telling my wife, I go, honey, you're not going to believe this. My Apple phone thing, it tells you the screen time and everything. It's like you're down 42%. And I felt so damn good about that. I was so excited about that because one of the things that we all do is that we end up just sitting on that damn thing and just scrolling through it, and we're not even doing anything. So I'm really trying to use it, primarily for business and to keep in touch with people. There's a part of me that wants to go back to like the old flip phone, and I actually just heard that Nokia came out with that old flip phone again. But I still need a text, and I still need to do all of those things. But yeah, not there yet.
Do you set limits for yourself? Do you say after 9 p.m. nothing is important enough to disturb me until the morning, or how do you sort of create a shell around yourself?
I don't set limits, but I have a really good, really good people around me. My assistant Jane has been with me now for years. She is absolutely amazing. She has access to everything. So if you think you're sending me a private text or a private email or a private anything, no, she sees it.
All right, well,
there is no privacy in my
I'm going to change the pictures I send you.
So I have great help to do that, and she can flag something that's super important, But the other thing that I've realized in my life is that there's really no emergencies. Like if there's an emergency, like the person's going to get a hold of you, right? They're going to call you 5 times. But there's no emergencies after a certain time.
A real estate emergency is call the plumber or call the super or
whatever. Yeah,
it's
there's
not call your.
I mean, we're in the middll of the deal and we're closing tomorrow and we're dealing with shit and we're doing all that stuff, or we're there's some issues with something like that. Yeah, you're on it. You're on it 24/7, and if we need to be working till 11 or 12 or 1 or 2 to get the deal done, no problem. But that's happening. That doesn't just happen out of the blue, right? So we need to get those deals done 100%, and we know what we're dealing with, and we deal with that stuff all the time as real estate agents, but we know it's there. It's not like a surprise.
Right. Exactly.
So I guess from there, I've been in the industry now for 8 years. Jed's been doing it for 7. At what point in your career did you feel like, I've made it? Like maybe I can take a little bit of a step back, and I know you've developed a team and everything along those lines. Was there a point in your career it changed?
I'm still not there. I think that right now we're pushing as forward as we can. We're continuing to move. I'm continuing to try to improve my numbers. I mean, we did, I think, our team, the Umansky team, I think we did $580 or $630 million. I don't know what we did last year, but quite a bit. And we're continuing
What's 50 million
expand that
friends?
number exactly. But my focus right now and my drive is really more about the agency and growing the agency and helping our agents grow and creating more opportunities for everybody and motivating everybody and talking about how you can grow your business and how you can do that. So that's really what my motivation is right now. So I don't call that a slowdown at all. On the contrary, I want to build a global network of great individuals and great people. As we said, no assholes, but great people that are knowledgeable in their business, that like to have fun, that like to get together, that like to help clients. I want a situation to be that when the two of you want to refer business to somebody in Portugal or somebody in the Caribbean and in Turks and Caicos or the Bahamas or somebody in Mexico and Playa del Carmen or wherever you go to us, and you know that when you refer them to another agency agent, that your client is going to be well taken care of, and you have no fear that you're going to deliver excellence to that client. That is my goal. So that we can take care of our clients on a global basis, and so that they're not looking for anywhere else and anybody else, but rather that they feel that we all know about them. And that's the importance of one system, one CRM, one intranet, one, everything. And so, that's my goal right now, is to create that one system that we could all be talking about. I've got a dream right now of creating an app where all of us at the agency, we can connect, we can all talk, we can all understand what off-market listings are available. Like really an extraordinary connection on that thing that I'm working on right now. So no, I am so far away from slowing down. But I'm not focusing on being a real estate agent anymore. That's what I'm allowing my daughters to do. And from my perspective, I just want to have them motivated so that they want to continue to grow. And they want to continue to grow the Umansky team. But my purpose right now is to grow the agency on a global basis and to help real estate agents and our agents all around our network.
I mean, that's the incredible thing about you is you, in addition to running one of the most successful teams in the country, which is small, unusually small for a top team, you travel around the world. You're at every agency office opening. You're at all over the world, different
We're
countries.
going to the Hamptons today, right?
Right
After here,
today,
I'm taking
you were,
up to the
you were
Hamptons.
just in Italy. You were just in Portugal.
Yeah.
You were just in, all over the country, Denver and Nashville, and everywhere we've just opened offices. We're up to 90-ish.
90
offices.
plus, yeah.
I mean,
We're
it's
reaching the 100 mark. We'll be celebrating the 100 mark. I predict by Forum in November.
And you're there, and you're promoting your book, and you're promoting the Netflix show, and you're doing everything, and you're running the team. Where do you get the energy for all that?
Yeah, it's the passion. I mean, you need to have the passion for what you do in order to have the energy, and then obviously you need to take care of the body, the mind, the soul, and all that stuff, right? So, I work out every day. I don't meditate every day, but I wish I did. I just don't have enough time, but I definitely work out every day. I meditate every week, multiple times a week. It just doesn't happen every single day. I do my affirmations pretty much every day. I would not say 7 days a week, but certainly 4 to 5 days a week. Well, they change. They change on a daily basis, and it depends on what I need to do that day. So, affirmations for me are really just a way to trick my mind so that I'm focused on what I need to accomplish that day. Train it or trick it.
I'd say
Both.
trick.
I sometimes it's just tricking it. Sometimes, it's that famous saying, fake it till you make it, right? But sometimes it's literally just tricking it to make sure that I'm delivering, on, whatever it is that I need to deliver, like focus, right? Like I can tell you today, thank God I've been traveling in Europe, because usually when I come East Coast, it's hard for me to wake up early. But I've been traveling in Europe, so I've got tremendous jet lag. So I was actually in the gym this morning at 6:30 a.m.
Wow.
which was pretty cool. And I can tell you that today I said, I knew I was coming to do your podcast. I knew I was going to be here. And so my affirmation today was just like, have clarity, have focus, speak well. I have the most clarity in my mind. Be focused during this time. I have extraordinary focus. I'm going to be able to I'm going to recall amazing stories as we're talking, even though I hadn't prepared for any of this thing. Right. And so that's, so all I did was just trick my mind so that when I arrived here with you, I'd be prepared to, tell you some good stories.
So we've been expanding rapidly, throughout America, the Caribbean, Europe. Where do you see us going next? Is it Asia? Is it the Middle East? Is it Africa?
Yeah, right now we're focusing on a continued expansion of Europe. We're really close and probably going to be opening very soon in Dubai, which I'm very excited about. So that's kind of an exciting growth. I'd love to get into Asia eventually. I don't see that happening in 2024. That's probably more like a 2025 game plan, or maybe late 2024. Yeah. But I certainly would like to see a continued expansion in Europe, and then a continued expansion of what we're doing, in the U.S., Canada, Caribbean, Mexico.
Yeah, we're almost in 50 states.
Almost. We're about to open our first office in Central America and Panama. So I'd like to see South America. I'm a Latino and a Mexican, so I definitely want to see that, continue. But yeah, little by little.
That's like it's going where our customers are, right? And I feel like
we
now
follow
we're
our
seeing
clients.
a lot of South Americans coming to United States and
going to Miami. There's amazing, Panama. There's amazing, banking laws. There's great, tax laws. There's a lot of, there's a huge connection with the U.S. There's a lot of, U.S. clients, going down there. There's a lot of Panamanian clients coming up here. So it's really, you nailed it. It's about following our clientele, right? Aspen, New York, Aspen, Florida, Aspen, L.A., Aspen, Dallas, Aspen, right? Dallas, Mexico City, California, right? So you just start following that map, and then that's how you start creating, where you're looking to open. But one of the things that's super important that I want to mention about, how we open and where we open, and completely different, I think, than most other companies in terms of the way that they think about their expansion and their growth. I feel like most companies think about their expansion and growth geographically. I think of our expansion and growth based on people. And when we find the right people, then we look at the geography and we figure out whether that makes sense or not. But it's always people first, geography second. I think most companies say, I want to be in Dallas. And they say they go to Dallas, and then they open, and then they figure out what kind of people they get. I do it completely the other way around. I find the people first, and then I decide if that's a place
we
I
are
want to
very, very protective of our culture, the culture that you and Billy have built, the culture that we have all contributed to, I hope. So when John and I are talking about, who do we want coming over to the agency in New York, it's never a question of who's the top producer at this neighborhood or this firm or this, it's who's great to work with on a deal.
Yeah, what's their personality like?
Yeah.
Who is a deal maker? Who is a fun person to work with? Who's a good person to work with?
Who's going to make us look good?
That's right. And those are the people who we try to bring in, because it's so much about the culture here.
Yeah.
And it's so important.
And collaboration, like that's one thing is like I always know what listings Jed has coming up, or some of our other colleagues. We're very open to sharing information, which I think is essential for our clients to potentially get deals off market and everything along those lines. But when you find like that snake out there, you're like, no, we got to avoid that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
And get them. And
well, I love that you guys are doing that, and you're helping, and that you're being tremendous ambassadors for the agency here in New York as we're growing. I mean, we've only been less than a year now.
It's about a year.
Is it 1 year this week?
Yeah.
Nice.
The name change was right after Labor Day last year.
So we're hitting the 1 year mark.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, amazing. There you go. And I think it's been an exciting year, obviously with challenges and obstacles and all of that stuff. But that's part of growth, and that's part of what makes people great is getting through that. But overall, I think it's been a pretty darn good year with
especially in a weird market.
In a very strange market, yeah.
So I want to turn to what I think is a difficult question. I want to put you on the spot.
I'm ready, man.
So you've sold more 20 million plus homes than anyone in the U.S., including some incredibly iconic properties like the Playboy Mansion. Did you find anything weird in the grottos?
I gotta tell you, giving tours of those grottos was just so much fun, and it was just awesome. I got a chance to have lunch at the Playboy Mansion before Mr. Hefner died, and being the tour guide for that property, it was.
The ultimate, if these walls could
it's just
talk,
awesome,
property.
man. 100%. I mean, the gym, the grottos. There's a guest house. There's a house that looks like the. It used to look. I'm sure it's changed now. The buyer's been making a bunch of changes, but it looks a little bit like the back of a Scooby-Doo van. And you just go in there at the games. I mean, honestly, the experience of being the tour guide of that iconic property was, you pinch yourself. I mean, I remember every time I was up there and there was a showing, I was literally like pinching myself. The fact that I was the one that was allowed to and able to, give the tours of this property.
So cool.
Yeah, pretty iconic.
Very iconic, no question.
So shifting gears a little bit, I mean, I think that you're known as one of the most famous or most popular house husbands for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. What do you think it is that makes you so appealing to the audience?
Probably, I don't know what it is, but probably, I am who I am. I don't, pretend to be somebody else on television, and then I change, who I am off television. I mean, what you see on that, show and on that tube, and then you stop me on the street and you say hi to me, like I am the same person. I am who I am. I'm unfiltered. I don't change at all. Kind of don't really give a shit about it. And maybe that's. Maybe that's one.
That makes sense. I had a showing recently, and the buyer that came to my listing actually said she ran into you and Kyle in Aspen, and she said you guys couldn't have been nicer. And she was just like, "This is real." Yeah. And I think that's what makes it a little different.
Well, it's not only about being nicer, but it's just being genuine. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of nice people in the world that are still not genuine. But I feel like one of the things that we Kyle and I are is we just are who we are. Like, we do not put up an act. I mean, I've seen a bunch of my co-stars. They're the camera goes on. You're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, that was not you 5 seconds ago. And Kyle and I are just, we are who we are. We don't change. Our family doesn't change. Our dynamic doesn't change. What you see, on those shows is who we are.
How do you think being on television has helped your career, has changed your life? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's like incredibly beneficial?
Yeah, I did it primarily with it's beneficial without question. It comes with a lot of sacrifices. Is it worth it? I'll let you know near the end of my life. I haven't decided if it's worth it yet. There's days when I wake up and think it's super worth it, and there's days when I wake up and think, fuck, man, I really fucked this shit up. But from a perspective of marketing and branding, and certainly helping grow the agency brand and helping it, get known, and it's been fantastic. I mean, it's certainly something that, would be very difficult to pay for, that kind of advertising and marketing on a global basis. And so there's no question that from the perspective of the agency brand and what we're doing and all of that stuff, it's been tremendously helpful. Is it worth it? I don't know.
It's a great answer.
Yeah.
It's a great answer. Life is so nuanced
that
to be able to just take a step back and say, yes and no at the same time. It's just, Mo, we want to be respectful of your time. We know you're heading out to the Hamptons today, and it's just been an incredible pleasure having you here on our show. You've been our first guest. John, I don't know if we can do it.
It's gonna be a little hard to top this one.
I don't know.
A little hard.
I don't know if we can do another guest after this, because
you guys will top it. I'm excited to be your first guest. I'm excited. Tyler Whitman, your guy. You guys work with him. Has opened up the office in the Hamptons. I'm excited to support him. He did it with Dana Trotter, who's amazing, and I cannot wait to get over there and see what they've done and just support them. And I know that we've got global partners. I mean, here's, what the agency culture is all about, which is amazing. We've got this open house, and you guys experienced it when we did the grand opening for this office and all of that stuff. But we've got this grand opening at the Hamptons. It's Labor Day weekends, and I think 36 global partners from around the world, from Canada, Miami, Caribbean, the U.S., have flown in on their own dime to support the grand opening of the agency in the Hamptons, and to meet everybody and to network amongst their groups. And that's the culture that I'm so proud of for the agency. And when you talk about what keeps me going and what keeps me driving, when I see our people on their own dime doing that because they want to, not because I'm asking them to, but because they want to, that's the energy. That's what gives me the energy that I need to keep, moving forward and being a leader and being, there for everybody. And it's humbling. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it, and I'm so proud of all of our people and you guys, and what you guys have done here. Jed and John and ambassadors here in New York have been absolutely fantastic. I love that you guys are doing this podcast and delivering great stories. I think the name City Views is fantastic, and I have a feeling that you guys are going to crush it with this.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Really
you,
appreciate it.
We're so happy to have you. Thank you guys for watching this episode of City Views with Jed and John. He's M. Umansky, at M. Umansky. He's at John
M. Umansky
Anshredder.
18. Remember that number 18. Boom,
Oh,
there it is.
there we are. I'm at Jed the Broker, and we'll see you next time on City Views with Jed and John.
Thanks, guys.